Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. Two sergeants at Fairchild Air Force Base are in jail accused of stealing thousands of rounds of Air Force ammunition. The two men face felony charges and years in prison. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk live in the studio tonight looking into the arrest and what led up to it. Kyle?
Well, according to an arrest warrant, one of those sergeants bragged about stealing up to 3,000 rounds of Air Force ammo every day to an undercover agent who was investigating the other sergeant for an entirely different reason. Now both men are facing felony charges and up to 5 years in prison.
In August of 2021, the Inland Northwest Joint Terrorism Task Force and the FBI launched an investigation into Air Force Staff Sergeant John Sanger after two unnamed social media companies reported he was talking about committing acts of violence. According to court documents, Sanger posted, quote, "I think the Capitol needs to be seized. No trial or chance to escape." Sanger also said, quote, "They defrauded our election system and are still getting away with it. That means this system has run its course. People have to die." As part of the investigation, the Air Force brought in an undercover agent who messaged and befriended Sanger online. According to documents, Sanger told the agent he blames the country's problems on Jews and African Americans and said he's actively recruiting people in hopes of forming a local cell of like-minded individuals. Fast forward to March of this year, Sanger invites the undercover agent to go shooting at a Fish Trap Lake range. They meet Sanger's friend, Air Force Sergeant Eric Eagleton, at this Petro truck stop. The FBI says Eagleton bragged about stealing up to 3,000 rounds of ammunition from the base a day. Eagleton said everyone at the Combat Arms Training Section knows about the thefts and splits the ammo, according to court documents. The agent reported Sanger and Eagleton said they enjoyed meeting people who hated the government and the military. According to documents later that month, agents saw Sanger and Eagleton exchange entire cans of ammo in the Northern Quest parking lot. Casino security cameras also captured the trade. Both men were arrested Tuesday, charged with conspiracy to steal government property. It's unclear exactly how much ammo was allegedly stolen and for how long. Sanger owns a home in Northwest Spokane. A woman who answered declined to comment. Eagleton also lives in Spokane. His roommate answered the doorbell camera, but said he didn't want to comment on this story.
And we reached out to Fairchild Air Force Base. They told us they can't comment on an ongoing investigation. In the studio, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much. Now to our night beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. Deputies in Sacramento arrested a man who they say tried to lure 80 children into making child pornography, and deputies say one of the victims is a child from Spokane. That victim has not been identified, and deputies did not release more details today. However, investigators say all the victims range in age between 6 and 13 years old. In a video release, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office identified the suspect as 24-year-old Demetrius Carl Davis. He is suspected of portraying himself as an 11-year-old girl named Lizzie online and speaking with children in an effort to groom them. The sheriff's office said Davis could have spoken with more than 100 children between late 2020 and December of 2021. Deputies are now asking parents to check their children's electronic devices and contact them if they think their child sent any illicit material to someone named Lizzie.
Today's refugee fleeing from the war in Ukraine, they're facing many problems on the way. They're exact same problems that I faced 27 years ago. So it's dear to my heart to just drop things that I was doing and start helping refugees.
The Ukrainian Consul General of San Francisco was in Spokane today. He spoke at a local church to share information from the Ukrainian government and answer questions about visas and immigration for Ukrainian citizens looking to find safety here in the States. Members of Spokane's Ukrainian community were in attendance, along with supporters and former refugees. Gino Pikulik was also in attendance. He moved out of his home to allow a Ukrainian family of 4 to stay there. He says for those who don't know where to start helping, people can donate clothes to Ukraine Closet or money to the Spokane Slavic Association. He also says people can write letters to local government officials about easing the immigration process for refugees. Well, another Zag announced that he plans to turn pro today. Gonzaga guard Rasir Bolton announced today that he has declared for the NBA draft. Bolton does have an extra year of eligibility due to COVID, but did not specify in his release statement today if it's still an option for him to use it or not. In a statement, he said that playing in the NBA has been a dream of his, and after talking with his family, he decided to declare for the draft. He led the Zags last season in three-point shots with 64 of them and shooting 46% behind the arc. Well, Sir Paul McCartney kicking off his North America tour tomorrow right here in Spokane. And for many people, it'll certainly be a memorable night. And what a better way to remember than with a Paul McCartney t-shirt. Merchandise for the tour went on sale this morning at 10 o'clock. And it was the first look at the design that will be traveling across the country alongside McCartney. McCartney's swag will also be on sale tomorrow at the arena. If you missed your chance today, you can head on over and grab the gear before he takes the stage at 8 p.m. Should be a good show. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them directly to your phone. All right, let's talk weather. We've seen a few chilly mornings here in the inland Northwest, including this morning. It was pretty chilly out there. Let's get outside to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo. And Jeremy, how are things looking for tomorrow morning?
Nice and cold, Mark. And it's already starting tonight. 43 degrees here in Spokane. You factor in a light wind, feels more like it is in the 30s. I'm wearing my nice thickest suit out here just to stay warm, and it's doing a decent job, but that's because the wind has died down quite a bit. 41 in Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint, 48 in Moses Lake, and 46 there in Wenatchee as the clouds clear out. Yeah, that's right. Clouds are clearing out, and this seems to be the case every night. I look up and I go, oh yeah, I can see stars even with these bright studio lights out here, and that's because we've cleared out quite nicely. Because of that, temps will drop once again. We wake up to sunny skies, but by tomorrow afternoon, a few isolated showers. Bulk of that activity stays down to our south. I'll walk you through why coming up in the full forecast, but for now, let's talk temps. We're down in the 30s once again tomorrow morning, and down near freezing across much of the state. By tomorrow afternoon, mid to upper 50s as our warm-up starts. Coming up, we're going to talk a roller coaster ride of temperatures and rain returning this weekend.
Sounds good, Jeremy. We'll talk to you later in the broadcast. In your national news this evening, an American in prison in Russia for nearly 3 years has been released in a prisoner exchange. Trevor Reed's health had been failing in Russian custody, and his parents appealed personally to President Joe Biden to secure their son's release. Russian state television cameras showed Trevor Reed appearing gaunt today, but finally free. The Marine veteran's release was part of a prisoner swap between Russia and the U.S., which returned a Russian pilot convicted of smuggling drugs. Reed's parents said the exchange took place in Turkey. Reed was sentenced in July of 2020 to 9 years behind bars in Russia, convicted of assault charges while drunk. He denies the allegations.
May her memory continue to be a blessing to our nation. And may we remember her words and her deeds. May she always be a light to all those in the darkest places.
Also today, the funeral service for Madeleine Albright was held this morning. Albright was the first woman to serve as U.S. Secretary of State. She served in that role under President Clinton. She was confirmed unanimously back in 1997 and held that post until 2001. President Joe Biden, as you just heard from, delivered her eulogy today. Albright died of cancer. She was 84 years old and leaves behind 3 daughters. Well, it is only 36 hours, but local veterans say going on an Inland Northwest honor flight is life-changing. Nearly 100 local heroes flew to Washington, D.C. and back over the past 2 days. And then last night, when the veterans got home, they were greeted with a large cheering crowd. And while they were exhausted, they were so touched to have a welcome home. So to everyone who came out, thank you. The veterans say it was more than they could have imagined. Hundreds of people lined the main terminal at Spokane International, a hero's welcome for nearly 100 men and 1 woman who helped change the world. All of them veterans from 3 different wars who made the trip to D.C. to see the memorials built in their honor. During the trip, the veterans told KREM 2 that seeing those memorials, it was amazing, and for many of the veterans, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, they said, it was the signs, the well wishes, the kids cheering. You could see it on their faces. They were so touched by it all. And then after an exhausting trek throughout D.C., they were given a special package on the plane. Each veteran has a stack of notes and letters delivered to their seat. Mail call. And while many of them never got a package while serving overseas, they got one on this trip.
Pretty cool. And you know, some of the best letters I got were from little people. I love little people. They speak their heart. They write their heart, and they're full of love.
Well, the trip takes veterans to the memorials. This trip, 3 wars were represented, as we mentioned, including World War II, 5 veterans from the Korean War, and the majority of people traveling were Vietnam veterans. And while the trip was a big success, 600 veterans remain on the waiting list. Time is critical. Because the trips were delayed for 2 years because of COVID, some of the veterans are no longer with us or just can't physically make the trip. So time is certainly imperative. So if you'd like to make a donation to help get as many veterans on this trip as possible, just text us the word HONOR to 509-448-2000 and we'll send those links directly to your phone. You can also check out KREM.com or go to Honor Flight's website. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time, but don't go to bed just yet. Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward delivered her State of the City address today. What big announcements she made? We are back in just 90 seconds.